is a glare that radiates something tangible remains clear in mind. My head is spinning, gotta regain control. I want what's within my grasp. It's a truth that eludes me. I want what's within my grasp. It's a truth that has gone through the eyes of my peers. There is a glow that radiates. Till there's a place that I can't feel. Drugs wearing thin, I
You have new quests in your codex.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Can you see me? We've got big things today. Is mic on? Can anybody hear me? Hello? Hello? Hello. Who do we got here? Grimsoul, Serbeans, Beth, Frank, Alaskan Mageborn, SideQuest, Coat, Ascending, Veltan, Tim Jones, Haster, Punk Ghost, Carter. Let's see, who am I missing? Haster? Did I miss anybody else? Rayclaw. Good to see everybody here today. Let me ask you a question before we start. Did you know during the Duviri paradox, Thrax's voice glitches out at a particular point? Did you know this? Who in the chat? It's the Cursed. Hello. Ollie Chan. Keiko. Hello. Who in the chat knew that during the Duviri paradox, Thrax's voice glitches out? And better yet, if you did know that, why did that happen? No, I haven't seen 5 Calforge shards on Urelli yet.
Operator.
No.
Ortis is sorry. Happy to
It just so happens that with my second character here, I have to do Duviri paradox. So I figured it'd be perfect just to go through it on a brand new character, see how it comes up. So we'll actually hear it. Now, here's the thing. This is important. It's not when he's possessing the Dax. It's only, it's so hard to hear without the music on. I keep saying this, and I can't tell you how many different scenarios that if you play Warframe quests without the music, there's so much additional stuff in there. You know what else you can hear? What the Lotus is saying to the Drifter as the hand goes by. Let's not stand on ceremony. Let's just go in and do it. We're going to do it. We're going to go ahead and do it without the music. Right? Now, here's the thing. Unfortunately, the beginning portion, you got to have the music on. There's just nothing you can do about that. But there's all kinds of little interesting things that I've been playing the quest over and over, looking for things that I missed. There's all kinds of stuff. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. So, and it really does suck because, I guess I'm gonna have to give some pigments there if I can. It's one of the hardest things to do is play the quests without the music on because the music is so great, right? But unfortunately, let's go in. Now, let me know if the audio needs to be up at all.
Ladies and gentlemen, an entertainment.
Oh, you'll hear all kinds of interesting things. Did anybody notice that all the people in the background here are the same person, and furthermore, none of them have mouths? Let me know. I'm putting it up a little bit more. Let me know when it feels pretty good for you as far as the music.
How much will one proud human soul suffer? Before bending a knee to the greatness of their eternal.
So like I said, within today's playthrough, this beginning thing, I'm just going to call out the little things that I've been noticing, right? And what I ask of you all is if there are things that you see or know about, call them out.
Must be.
Not only are they faceless, but they don't even have mouths. No, I'm saying the ones in the background, all the ones that are like behind them in that scene. Now, this is interesting because one has to ask here, who was the originator? Where did the transference come from? Because it seems to go into both the Drifter and the Warframes at the same time. Keep that in mind for later. Very important. This is true, Rays. Good call on that one. That's all right. It's very important to how things go here with the video. Pedro Pascal reaching out his hand. More like I haven't found it yet. Well, Haster, this goes back to in not the last video, but the video
Ever
before
get that
it.
feeling you're
Might be
stuck,
loud.
spinning inside your little wheel, only to find you're right back where you started? And so it goes. Day by day, year by year, until you're dead inside. You feel nothing. You're just a prisoner.
Raze, he has
trapped in
more
the
than that.
spiral of
He actually
someone
has
else's
human
dream.
legs, too. Velton, I love the idea of the trailer for Urelli, but I can't help but also at the same time feel like everything that's going on with that trailer is funny because it feels like Urelli is kind of one-upping Ballas, but at the same time, it's exactly what Ballas wanted to occur with the Warframes in the grand scheme of things. So even though it's like he still wins even when he loses. Oh yeah, we're going to stick with this. I like it. Here's another thing. So there's a couple things before I hit this button. First, when we get into them talking about the whole thing with the transference, I believe, like with the Drifter having the ability to finally do it, I think this all comes back to what I was saying in a previous video about Warframe being a bootstrap paradox or a temporal paradox situation, where they're saying that the spiral, the loop itself of the Tenno and the Drifter changing places becomes the origin of how it occurred, rather than being the Drifter had first or the operator, and then they kind of went back and forth. It's like I've said in that video, it's probably my least favorite time travel mechanism, but it holds true in so many different places in Warframe. So the other thing that I want to point out, and this is something that's important. Ask yourself this question as we go on. Why is he missing a leg? Well, okay, Haster, but Eternalism has some rules. And you know who I went to? I went to a very special or a very particular source to kind of figure out or at least temper what I was believing about eternalism, and that was Stallard's videos. I recently went back here because he really seems to have a good beat on a lot of different things. And when he's talking about eternalism, he put it so great too. Eternalism doesn't happen just as it just like kind of occurs and stuff, right? The idea is, oh man, I might even have to link that video because it's basically the one on Duviri. But the way that he describes it is that there are impressions that sit underneath what actually occurred. And essentially, what eternalism is it allows for you to see what was by like kind of scraping at the wall almost and seeing what was there. So like not every incident has an eternalism like segment to it that you can go back. Like there is an eternalism for if the Tenno ate, those weird protein squares this morning or decided not to eat this morning. Do you understand where I'm getting at? Like, not like the many worlds theory kind of contends the one perspective that, no matter what situation that incurs, like a new timeline will come from it because there's like two choices that could be made, so in one choice, one went this way and one went this way. But within this parameter, it's like there are certain moments that happen that if they were overridden for some reason, but the possibility of what they were still remain because of the significance of the thing. And it's within those moments that you can extrapolate and actually like manifest actual eternalism and pull on the strands of Kra. Tim Archer, yeah, I actually will be doing that. I'm going to do a bunch of stuff this summer. It's going to be a fun summer on the channel. There's no two ways around it because I've actually already started my lore, writing for my lore series. So this is what you guys are doing right now is kind of helping me put the final touches on the Duviri thing that I'm doing. I thought that I could just go and do regular lore, but there's so many things, especially within this quest, that are just so messed up that I wanted to get your opinion on it. So let's go forward. Let me not hold you hostage anymore.
Begin again.
You've made the king furious. And not just him. Me! We've both had enough of you. By order of His Majesty Dominus Thrax, death
By
You
impalement.
will look at me when I...
But you can send it back to hell.
Oh yeah, that'll be in there too. I think there's all. I'm going to tell you something. The indifference was always in Duviri. I'll give you
Even
countless
better!
examples of it.
Death by meteor!
Now remember, this hand is not the same hand that gets cut in the new war. That is so messed up. That scene is. This is not the new update. No. So there's a couple things I want you all to take into consideration here as we move forward, because there's all, like I said, these are all the little things that I picked up on. First things first. No. The hand that gets sliced off during the new war is a sentient hand. It looks like how she does at the very end of or I should say, whenever the Lotus has kind of been like used up, like her power's been used and she's like kind of cracked all around. That is what the hand looks like that gets sliced off in the new war. The hand that we saw there is a human hand with, like a human finger on it. And keep in mind, now again, I don't know that this means anything, but the Lotus's voice isn't just her, it's not just hers. We've got that additional, that like little added extra there that we never know what that means, because there's one character in particular that uses it, in its entirety. Again, I don't want to say for certain anything. I'm just trying to bring attention to this point, right? So as we go through this next part, just keep your ears open. So let's see. Okay, so Gemma, let's see. I think we've only been going here for a little bit right now. Yeah, that's exactly. But it's not the one that gets sliced. If you go back to the new war, the hand that Arteno is holding on to is her in her like it's all cracked and everything. Whereas this hand, it looks like from beforehand. So Let's go grab this.
Why not? Now what?
So there's a couple other things that I'm going to kind of point out along the way here.
We shall find them. Have no fear. My magic has revealed them.
Maybe this will help you relax.
And remember, too, I think it's important that everything that's kind of happening right now is something that...
I've come to love.
All right, can I get... What the...
Yeah.
These son of a bitches. Get out of here.
A way out.
There we go. Now this thing's gonna break through. Oh yeah, we've done this a couple times yet. I've been through this loop a bunch of times, just so you know. Boop, boop. All right. So here's another great part coming up here. Check this out. Check this out.
The king! The king! There goes our honored king!
Where? Where? He gave me no eyes to see him!
There! I think it's him! Sir, will the dragon devour us today? I live to serve, even as food!
What? There's a dragon too?
Huh? Didn't you hear it?
So
Let's go.
within that, the context of that, it almost seems like they know. I can't help but see this place as a kind of like... It's like a testing ground.
Yeah.
And if you look deeper into all the quests, right? All the things that the Drifter's able to do, they kind of learn here. Keep that in mind. Because there's an interesting thing that something else I picked up during this quest that like I never really thought about before, but it is very interesting. Well, I mean, the question that you have to ask is how did the hand get here? Who's controlling it? Who's allowing it to be here? Because we know that the Lotus doesn't just have natural power like that, where she can just usurp timelines and this, that, and the other thing. That's never been a power that she's ever had. And it would have been one that would have been, you know, probably pretty...
Come on now.
Pretty important to have in the last quest. It's true. Well, that's kind of what I'm. Yeah, like this place.
Whoa.
I can't not see it as a. Look, I know that this isn't it. Well, I don't know that this isn't it, but I just want to say this again. There is a video that I put out a while ago that it made sense back then. But after I made the video and I talked to people, like I was like, maybe this isn't the case, but hear me out.
Easy.
Okay. So there's this time period in the Warframe universe. It goes something like this. The Tenno children are brought back from the Zariman 10-0 and have crazy powers. So the Orokin, after kind of the initial problems that they had with the children blinding Margulis and, you know, messing up one of the other people. I can't remember. Was it Colleen? I think it was Colleen. And then putting them into like a kind of, first of all, it would just be kind of a quarantine. But then once transference was kind of figured out, then they put them in there, right? And through transference, the Tenno children were able to live like what you would consider to be a somewhat normal existence. But what I always thought about was, wouldn't there have to be something within the dream, right? Like there has to be this dream that they're put in before the Warframes, before the lucid second dream, which is that exactly what they say. Like lucid dreaming is essentially when you control your own dreams. So when they say that the Warframes are a lucid second dream, I can't help but think that there was a platform by which the Tenno were kind of welcomed and further were allowed to kind of work their emotional issues out within and not have it affect the outside world. And then I went back to the concept of Illyria and who developed the Tales of Duviri and why the tales were developed in the first place, right? You know, the Tales of Duviri were specifically made for children. They were made for children that were going to be exposed to the void so that they would have a better understanding of the emotional spectrum, and that while in the void, you had to be very cautious of what you do. And I can't help but think that what if Duviri is kind of a program that all the Tenno children were given? And that is the thing that they experience within the dream. And I said this in the video, that what if Duviri is the dream that other Tenno experience? And the reason why I'm starting to kind of bring this up again now is because within this quest, I'll get into it when it actually happens, but there's this, like I said, there's this training that seems to go on within the quest itself for the Drifter specifically that allows them to do, granted this is a quest, but this is a quest to try to get them into another quest. That's like the Duviri paradox. One of the things about it is that it's a story, but it's the story of how the Drifter is shown how to use their abilities so that they can join and help within the origin system for what's happening there. Well, I get that, but what I'm saying, Haster, is the Tenno schools would have come in after the fact. The Tenno schools would have come like when they got to a point where they were proficient with their Warframes. I'm talking about this would be in the very beginning, before any like formalized like training, fighting training, or anything else like that. There would have to be a way by which that the Lotus and Ballas and all of them would teach the Tenno children to transfer into Warframes. Would they not? They wouldn't just naturally know how to do it. Like, oh, see that thing over there? Just, kind of go in there, right? And if the kids were in the dream, how do you even communicate with them? There's a lot of stuff that we just kind of accept as, well, this is just how it happened, right? But if you start to think about it just a little bit deeper, you start to wonder, okay, well, what are the mechanics behind how these things occurred? And as you watch this quest, now again, I'm not saying this is it, but what I am saying is it's just very odd to me. She just said, come this way.
Slow.
Shit, I missed that one because she said slow. Yeah, I think it could. And understand that now here's what, that doesn't necessarily mean that the Duviri that we're in right now isn't a void, isn't something that is void created by the Drifter. What I'm saying is this is the program by which, again, when you have this eternalism thing where the origins can be the loop, and within Duviri, the existence of two people, it specifically, well, I shouldn't even say that. There's more than that. Like, think about it. Within Duviri, who does the operator or the Drifter get to converse with? First, you have Euleria Entrati, right? She is the foremost authority on eternalism, on how to keep your sanity in the void, how to deal with the void, and she speaks to us. She actually, like, literally gives us the tales, if you will, right? So that's the first thing that we get. Then who else do we get? We get the Lotus, but do we get the Lotus, or are we kind of getting Margulis? And then who else is there? It's Teshin. All these people were very, very specifically necessary for the original Tenno's growth and development as warriors of the Orokin, right? And there's this thing, we'll come to it here a little bit later, right? But there's going to be a little bit of dialogue that it's almost impossible to hear without with the music on. You'll see where it's going to be. We'll get to it here. Let me get some questions done before I go to the next thing. Gemma, you absolutely can ask an unrelated question, but still game related. Well, I'm going to do you one better. That, like, oh man, dude. Okay, this is like the heavy conspiracy theories. Think about who was all there whenever the whole thing with Teshin occurred. And also consider that one of the keys to starting Duviri, to starting the Drifters way out of here, what was, aside from the Warframes, right? So something allows the Drifter to take in transference energy when apparently they had never done it before, and then also gives it to the Warframe at the same time, and they come together. But after that, after the whole thing with Dominus Thrax, what you end up having is it just goes back to, like, he resets the whole thing. And the Drifter is resigned to basically dying again. In fact, you see the two people, bring the Drifter up to be executed one more time. But what's the thing that starts it? It's Balas's paracesis. The paracesis, then the Drifter's hand, or then the Lotus's hand comes in. Oh, so Gemma, it depends on who you're using at the time. So if you are using your operator, then when you go into your profile, you'll see your operator next to your Warframe. If you're actually using your Drifter, then you'll see your Drifter in front of your Warframe.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, think about it this way. If Duviri was made as a place for the Tenno to control, it would make a ton of sense. Now, bear in mind, the paracesis was an incredibly important weapon within the context of the new war, but aside from slicing off the hand of the Lotus and stabbing the Tenno, something that we didn't even know would occur, or that it would have any kind of effect, in that regard. The paracesis is the key. Oh, other people when they look at you. see the operator. Okay, there you go. Kaika is the answer there. So listen to this part. Like again, it's so weird to me because it's like they know the citizens of Duviri know that this is it's almost like a Truman Show type thing. Listen to this.
I am the Bombastine of the courtly stage, until that witch Lucinia took it from me. A fancy new hand, sire. Lucky you.
I don't belong here. Shit. I don't even know why I'm talking to you. You're just some Thrax plaything, right?
Too true. Not like you. No matter how much work I put in.
I'm just looking for a way out of here.
A way out? When all of us are obliged to stay?
Do you see what I'm
Where?
saying?
Yonder.
Don't get in my way.
Ah, the audience loves you. Of course they would.
Yeah.
Mr. Bombastic. Do you see what I'm saying, though? It's almost like everybody's just watching. Oh, Gemma, why don't you want people seeing your operator? Whatever one you're using is the one people will see, just so you know.
Whoa.
This is my second character. I didn't put a lot of time into this drifter yet. Oh, also, I just got a good color palette, so. Yeah, Haster. Yep. That's, Frank, that's, you know.
What the hell?
All right, so again, it feels to me like it's like all pieces of Duviri were set in place. This, in my opinion, it's kind of like they are establishing the connection between the operator and the drifter throughout this entire section. So first of all, you have that right there. So you have this like really messed up variation of what's supposed to be Entrati. But what I do find interesting, and again, this could just be me seeing stuff, but if you think about it, there's one here, and then there looks like another arm here. And you could easily make that same thing here. And then you got Entrati's head, and then there's all these things that go up. Just seems very oddly shaped. So here's the connection. Making sure that you can, I assume. It's almost like it's trying to, like I said, literally connect these two people together, and this is the process by which it would be done. I mean, I could think of other situations where this could actually come into play. Like, think about it. If not necessarily within these confines, but what if a similar kind of thing exists whenever continuity occurs? Like, we always talk about continuity and transference occurring, but we never talk about what happens to the two minds that are there at the time of continuity. And right now, my continuity is not really working as well. There we go. No, it wasn't a skull. It was his
For the person who
little
has everything.
neural sentry
A little
thing.
something extra. Be on your way. That oreworm is hunting, and it has your scent. Though you could buy some time if you fed it Lucinia first.
Let's go.
Well,
I am your cloud above, your fire below, your reckoning.
even hey, by the way, I just want to say, even if I don't happen to see your comment, right? If you do have something very specific that you want to point out to me, definitely put my name. That's the easiest way for me to see it quickly. But even if I don't see your comment, please put it in there because I'm going to go look at it after the fact for the next video. So don't feel that your contributions are going to waste if I don't comment on it.
Steady now.
Yep. Bien, it's funny. There's other allusions to that same concept within Lotus Eaters and within in Warframe 1999.
Easy, Keith.
Well, I think the purple void energy is supposed to. Now remember, I don't remember going in that thing. Remember, it's important here that I assume that that Margulis also associated herself with the color purple. Okay, not just the lotus. I think again. Now this is an understanding of how I'm interpreting it this time, but bear in mind that if this has something to do with trying to ease the Tenno and whatnot, that association with purple, if Margulis is associated with purple, and if they have this love that they do for her, it would be something that they would look towards as something that would be positive, and they would move toward it and willingly do it, versus it being like, say, like red or something like that, and the Tenno being like, I'm not sure if I really want to get involved with that. So, Pietro, you have to understand that the Indifference has always had the ability to get to Duviri at any point. In fact, it's always been here. There's multiple situations within the Duviri fragments that explain the Indifference trying to get. I don't even know if you want to call it trying. It gets in here so frequently. It has iterations all over the place, and I think it has to do. It's a product of the idea that. And I know I think this is hard for some people to truly grasp. What you have to understand, what I believe at least, is the void, the man in the wall is the void, but the void is the man in the wall. The thing is, I don't think that we've met, unless the big block. That's about the closest thing that I think that we've come to yet to actually seeing the quote-unquote master that's described within a lot of the lyrics within Whispers in the Walls. There is another entity above the heralds that I don't think we've had an actual experience with on a one-to-one basis, like speaking-wise. The closest thing I think it could be the block, the big, the Vitruvian form of the man in the wall. But even then, that too could be a herald. But the point of what I'm saying is that it is the void. So anything within the void is subject to its whatever it wants to do. And I think that little snippet of what we got within Isleweaver, where Rusalka says, "You think that I wasn't keeping an eye on you from in here," and it's true. It's like she could, as she can move with as she is a part of the indifference right now. She can move as the indifference does, and I would assume that she can move in the exact same way that the Drifter can. If we can move between 1999 and the Origin System in Duviri, then so can she, because the same energy allows us to do it all. Oh, have a good dinner there, Beth. Yes, we got to find the CEO of the Void. It all depends on what you consider to be Wally. Like, do you consider Wally to be the operators?
Right now, you're thinking, is this real? Or some fevered dream?
So remember that too. These are all little things, but like I said, one of the things I wanted to bring up is I don't understand why did he lose a leg? You see that? It's almost like the same leg that it's the same leg that Ballast lost, in fact. Hey, Brosine. Well, see, that's the other thing. That this creature has a lot more significance, and I just don't think that we've been given the complete context of it yet.
I'm wondering why the hell this all feels so damn familiar.
Emotions. They guide where others fail. The king's spiral takes away time, experience.
You don't seem like the others.
I am Teshin.
Chaos.
Oh,
We do need the Karen cut
and
right
this
now.
well, it was you that named her. Remember?
I need to get Terra this time because I have Soul and Lua now.
I remember her oceans crashing wild under churning skies. This place is a nightmare facade of that world.
Benjamin's a good question.
Prison from which you must escape.
I'm just so tired.
Kaika, the good thing is that we're on Isleweaver watch right now.
Lost toy of a temperamental child. You need only to find the rest of its pieces.
Serson, if you look at, he lost the leg, like it's
You
gone.
can't be serious. You can keep the doll. I've got to get as far away from this as I can.
You know you cannot run from here with Thrax on the throne. But by all means, try again. I'll even give you my blades.
Man, I don't know. Okay, so check this. So let's see if we can get a good view of his feet. See that? I mean, it's literally, it's like a, it looks a lot like Ballas's leg now, but it's like a metal piece versus, he doesn't have a foot anymore at all. Again, I'm not quite sure what's going on with that. It's an interesting little thing. Then we have the, it looks like a Kuaka. But remember, it also looks like one of Letty's rats. So I'm not 100% certain where that's going to go because, again, that's what I was talking about before. You know what? I could do something. I'm not really a big fan of this hair color. And I have to say, if you're looking for a great color palette, the Pride color palette that they just gave out, oh my goodness, it's got everything you need. It's got every color you need. Where's it at? Yeah. Look at this. That's perfect. Yeah. That's a absolutely fantastic color palette right there. I think we're gonna go just with the dark hair for this one. And we're also gonna do, I know it's gonna be boring, but that's okay. The way I kind of always looked at it is like, I never understood how somebody who's out in space would even have access to hair dye. Unless you went out and got it yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, you needed to really go out and get that hair dye on your own. So I want blue eyes. Actually looks kind of nice. Damn, that looks like it's a little too. Stop looking at me. Okay. Oh wow. Hello.
Until the next spiral, then.
All right, we got to get to the. Wait, which way am I? Oh, I have to do the intrinsics. Got it. I guess I'll take that one. All right, I think. Okay, listen close.
Did someone make a new friend? Trying to make me jealous, are you? I'll find him soon enough.
I thought that was where it was at. Oh yeah, I forgot I gotta do this.
Amusing quarry.
Ah, crap. Come on. Okay. You know, I've never used that actual ability, and that like double sword slice. I've never once done that.
testing my limits.
Fool!
I'm gonna do the whole Indiana Jones here.
Chippity chop! Your turn!
Okay. All right. Where is this?
Didn't I warn you?
Hey, that works.
The oral worm Loden. Anger personified. Quick, you must find a way to the mainland.
You know what I didn't know? The Oro worms, the ones that were made by the actual Orokin, they had a purpose. They went and would devour negative manifestations of void power, essentially. And they would keep them within,
Impressive.
like inside
If
the
you
Oro
are
worm
done
itself.
gallivanting across the skies, might I suggest finding shelter on the mainland before Loden's wrath is turned upon you?
Yeah, man, calm down. I'm excited to go back personally. JBN, now you're cooking with
Is
gas.
this real?
Some fevered dream. All right, Teshin, I'll try it your way.
You remember. Good. Now, we can begin.
So, Zerg, I think that's
Warframes.
that's exactly it right there.
By the paradox.
Good to see you, by the way.
In the world beyond the wall, they were the weapons of a warrior caste called the Tenno. I suspect your hand may offer a way to control them as they did. Choose.
So, so remember what I was saying before about how it seems like everybody kind of knows what's going on? Isn't it kind of weird that Teshin knows about the hand? Like, why would Teshin have any idea what that hand was doing or who it came from or anything else like that? Coda, I'm not 100% certain on why we have that thing and why it has such a prominent role within this quest, and it seems like it has others. As we go through this quest here, there's something else that happens with. Remember that we have a very specific naming convention for it too, and what we chose to name the rabbit or whatever it is has an image that is associated with it later in the quest. But how would he be able to notice what it is? I don't know if this is like a visual bug, but this is the second time I've seen this one where like Volt decides to split into two. I don't think that the first Volt is actually still supposed to be there.
Relax. Let your mind adjust to the dissociation.
Yeah, that's not the man on the wall, by the way. So again, bear in mind, listen to what he just said. Relax. Let your mind adjust to the dissociation. Can you not see them saying the exact, someone saying to the Tenno when because that's what I'm trying to, the point that I'm trying to make here is that, so you have the Tenno sitting in the dream, right? And that's keeping them from the voices and everything else. You can't expect it just to be a foregone conclusion that the Lotus sets up like this ability for transference and everything else like that, and the Tenno would just be like, "Oh, there's a presence that's outside of my cryopod over there, and I'm just gonna take control of it. But then I don't know what I'm doing at the same time." And for me, this seems like kind of a very, it's like I said, it's like a training for inside. If you were the operator, here you are within this world that's specifically made to teach you about the dangers of the void. And even the things that Thrax says later. Now, you'll see when we get there. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Everything that we see here, because we know that Teshin was instrumental in teaching the Tenno children. And also, here's another thing to keep in mind. Teshin knew everything about them, all the old stuff. He was the one who actually, if you think about it, he was the one who allowed the Tenno to regain who they were. If it were up to the Lotus, she would have kept them as just basically, you know, within the confines of the orbiter.
All right.
Austin, let me see your question. Hold on. What is that? That sounded ominous. Aster, what was your question? If Major Rizalka can use our abilities, can she do transference? So, oh man, this is a rough one. I said this in the last video that I made. I don't 100% know anymore if a deal is made with everybody. Because I don't know if the man on the wall needs to make a deal with everybody. We know for certain the man on the wall made a deal with the operator or an operator and Barrow Katir. We can surmise or we can speculate that Albrecht and Trotty made a deal. But at the same time, with Entrati, it's a different scenario because we know the first time that he encountered the man on the wall, there was no deal. In fact, he got scared, tried to run away, and in the process, sliced off the finger of the man on the wall while it was reaching out toward him. And I'm guessing it was reaching out to shake his hand, to get the deal, to do a deal. But within the context of other things within Entrati's labs, his own wording about talking about the deal is done, the die is cast, we end as we began, the fact that there is a clear chair in front of a vessel that the man on the wall takes over, with the same type of summoning signs or circle that we also see the man on the wall earlier in the quest sit at as like its first time to actually show itself to the operator whenever like the walls of the lab just disappear. in the grand scheme of things, I don't know that a deal is necessary for everybody. It could be. That's always the impression that we've always been under, and it very well could still be that way. I'm just saying, with instances with like Yonta seeing her other, yeah, okay, so here's another thing. Hester, I don't know if those are they traps, because they don't seem to. What do they trap? You know, I mean, the man in the wall was sitting right in one of them for a second, and then it disappeared whenever it wanted to. So I don't know. But you know, kind of what I was saying before with the other people who have encountered it. Did Lloyd make a deal? I don't know, but I know that Lloyd can be copied. Yeah, the only problem is it doesn't seem to be effective in any of that stuff. That's my point, is that the idea of that chair sitting in front of the vessel would, by all means, or by all rights, insinuate that two people were speaking to each other. That either somebody was sitting in the chair and talking to the vessel, or somebody was sitting in the chair and talking to somebody else. Because it's certain that, like, it's not like Entrati would be working on the vessel from an old rickety chair. Like, why would you you'd probably have scaffolding and stuff like that, or, you know, what else? You wouldn't have just an old, like, Victorian style plushy chair sitting in the middle of a summoning or of a circle, you know? Well, so Brosine, apparently the idea is there is an initial finger or fingers. There's like this weird thing with one finger and two fingers, and I can get into that in a second, but the idea is that the fingers that we see within our railjacks and even the one within the Zeramin are void copies of the original. How they're done like that, and, you know, that's a little outside my purview even. Yeah, and again, that's a really good point. When Lloyd says you're his demon, not mine, that doesn't mean that it's not his demon. In fact, I would say it is his demon, given what we see in the following quest with 1999 and Lloyd having some aspect of it within the Man on the Wall. We don't know where the original is, but I'll tell you something. If you go on Duviri, if you go into Duviri after you finish the quest up and find the Zeramin tablets, one of them asks that exact question. Where are my finger bones, kiddo?
The King's Reach is weaker here in the Undercroft. On the surface, I suspect this Warframe would be a liability, attracting his every worm. But here, you can roam free and revel in its power.
So what am I doing here, Teshin? A joyride?
You are seeking a paradox. You'll need more than her hand and my blades to survive above. Here they come.
So, Code, I would say, I don't know if it's necessarily the same thing, only because we also have the Soraka. And even though you would think like that's just it, you know, we get it from just like off of a random soldier in Duviri, yet it seems to have some kind of extra power to it, given the fact that it too can travel between worlds. Like you can use that in the origin system. I mean, it could be, but typically the Man on the Wall can mimic people that he's come into contact with.
As I understand it, a Warframe is more than a machine. a hybrid creation. Your senses are linked now.
See, it's like it's a training. It's a training by the same people who would have trained the operators. And I just find that to be incredibly relevant and interesting.
Think you can hide
Here, listen.
from me down here, Drifter? I play wherever I want.
Does that not sound like transference that's being blocked? Hey, Menace. Well, we may get into, Rajesh, we may actually get into more Lua yet. That's not, one of the things I keep bringing up on my streams is that we have this literal, just absolute bevy of untapped places in Warframe that we could go back to and learn more about. Just think about it. We're getting back to Duviri. This was one place that needed way more explanation. I'm just telling you, oh my God, trying to do lore on this.
You're no Tenno, but I have seen worse.
Yeah, I'll bet you any money he said that same thing to other
About these
operators.
Tenno? This ain't so hard.
From the other side, they command the self-same powers of void that make the walls of our prison.
There you go, Raze.
I suspect
That's it.
the paradox is their attempt to help us.
There's something else down here.
Yes, a paradox. You must find it.
Oh, here it is.
The Tales of Duviri.
Zerg, yep. You and Raze, you got it. That was the first thing, I will tell you this. So I was just kind of playing this this weekend, right? Just trying to get my script together. And I'm playing it, and everything that we've come across so far, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, yep, that's exactly it. Raze was cooking with gas right there. But when his voice glitched out like that in the Undercroft, I was like, wait a second. Why would it do that? Like, what reason would that occurrence have? Even if this is the Undercroft, because apparently Thrax is supposed to have the same type of ability to go to the Undercroft as anybody else. Luden was the only one that kind of keeps him away from it. How about this? Remember, that's Margulis's voice.
Of course.
Listen.
I didn't trust her. Why not? Well, she was a sentient. I told you already. No. I didn't know all that yet, did I? We believed as the Oregon had us do.
Did you hear that? Okay. First things first, let's address this. This ranked thing with the comments, I have no clue what that is. I didn't set that up or anything. And if it's making people feel uncomfortable, I can always I can try to shut it off. I don't know if that's something I can even do. It seems like it's a new, whatever happened, it was a change that I did not do. But like I said, I can look to turn that off. So essentially, he's talking about the Lotus, or about Margulis. And he's explaining, he's basically saying, he goes, yeah, I didn't know it was her either. Yeah, at first I didn't want to trust her. So it's almost like there's this unspoken connection going on in the background. And who knows, maybe whatever's the entity that's in the thing, in the Kuaka, the rat or whatever the hell that thing is, maybe that's transferred into, it's tough call in that part. You can turn it off in the help center? Okay, I will do that for the next one.
It was war, after all.
Rablet.
Find us. We were made to hate without reflection. No vacations. I suppose Saturn, maybe. I've always wanted to see the rings up close.
Yep, that's the other thing right here.
Oh, feeling better? That Warframe took a greater toll on you than I expected.
Who were you talking to?
If you are recovered, we must begin at once to seek the other pieces of Thrax's figurine. I expect they will manifest the same as paradoxes on the surface. Gear up, look around, and tell me when you are ready.
Gemma! Gifted membership, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yeah, where have we seen Saturn up close? But more importantly, okay, so here I'm going to throw something at you. Now, I'm down here like this so you guys can see his leg it's gone. Can you see that? Is it possible to, am I getting it good? Well, Saturn was where remember, that's where we just took off into the void whenever the Oracle decided it was time to go. But what I was wondering is, check this out. What if, okay. All right. Within the program, the training program, is it not possible that a construct of Teshin was made? And that's what was sent into Duviri? Like the same kind of thing that would have trained, that would have walked the Tenno through all this stuff and how to transfer and all this other stuff. Raised gifted membership, thank you. Perhaps, maybe that is Valeria. Thing is, though, he's definitely talking about Margulis or the Lotus. Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate both of you. I don't think Teshin was talking to the man on the wall. Of course, I don't think. Now, this is interesting.
How'd you end up here anyway?
Through the eye of a storm. I'm not sure if I was dead or alive at the time. You?
Nah, it's been too long for me. Maybe I was on that ship, or maybe the same way you did.
That's such a crazy thing to say. Well, this is going to be one of those situations again that. Okay, so. Within the new war, the idea is the operator was placed into a recursive time loop of their own history in order to lock them out of the origin system. Okay? At some point within that recursive time loop, the drifter was released. We don't know who initiated the release, how it occurred, or technically the timing of it. Because you could make the argument that this was occurring before the new war, but you could also make the argument that this occurred after the new war. It all depends on your perception of the time that occurred. And this kind of goes back to what I was saying before, is that many of the especially the time looping elements of Warframe, again, I'm not going to say this is 100% because DE could come out and be like, nah, this is completely wrong. But it just seems like the temporal paradox or the bootstrap paradox is the method by which they utilize a lot, meaning the cause of what occurred is the loop itself, not necessarily. So there isn't, it's kind of like there isn't a chicken before the egg scenario. The loop is what caused the origin, not the egg and not the chicken. Time is linear in Warframe how we experience it, but time also functions as in everything all at once when we talk about the idea of the wall. The wall throws everything into kind of an additional chaos, because whereas we experience time in a linear fashion, everything can be experienced well, I shouldn't say everything. There are incidents scraped upon the concept of the void that, for whatever reason, left an indelible mark in some other form. And when a particular choice or decision was made, something about that was kept as a residual. And thus, the moment that thing occurred, now I don't know, I can't tell you what predicates this to occur. Like, what's the thing that, why is this event so important that it leaves a mark? I don't know. I have no clue. What are the, like, how great of an event does it have to be? I don't know. But what I can tell you is these events of significance, the Orokin were able to figure out that they still exist within the void. And thus, by accessing it, you could essentially go back to that point, erase what is, and create what was instead, to become what will be. And the drifter loops. Okay, so there's two possible significant answers on this. So I'm going to be very, very upfront about this. The drifter loops because they control this place. Even as the drifter understands it, they believe this place to be of their own creation, and thus they can change what happens within it. Now, what I would say is, what we've come to realize is there are other aspects, other areas that can also be changed. 1999 being one of them. I contend that the reason why it can occur in 1999 and in Duviri, but so far not within the origin system, is because Duviri and 1999 are conceptual embodiments of cross strands. The effect or the void interpretations of the cause and effect that we were talking about. Essentially, these places, and I would actually put I think you could actually add in there Protea's Granum's void as another place, as a kind of pocket within. So you have the origin system, you have the wall, which is the void. When they talk about the wall, they're talking about the void. And then you have things on whatever side of the wall that they are. So in the case of Duviri, we're in a pocket that is encapsulated by the void, and thus we're kind of at like one little section of it. Does that make sense? This is, and again, remember, it's all speculative because there's nothing in the game that really calls any of this stuff out as, hey, this is how it is, and this is the way that it works. So
Warframe on the surface. We will save that for the Undercroft. This should at least give you a fighting chance against his false stacks.
oh, there you are. And then we have this thing.
All his horses, all his men. The sooner you find the pieces, the sooner you get out of this place.
Fighting, I think it's possible that we could see a version.
See for yourself.
Like a void rendered copy type thing. Much in the same way of Teshin. Yeah. Yeah, this is how we this is what we do here. That's true, Zerg, but what I'm saying is she still allows herself to, or there is a section of void that was created that is its own space, and I would say is one of the reasons why Parvos was able to even survive.
You have angered Thrax, and because
Well,
he
Frank,
is a creature
Duviri was
of
much bigger at
emotion,
one point. That's a guarantee.
his world follows. From the Duviri tales, the Prince of Fire. Be wary. In the story, the king's men had blades of molten steel.
The imp thinks he can send his clanking cretins to haul me away. As if I were nothing but a filthy tam snaffler. Rip their arms and legs off! In a king's name.
So, Coat, I actually think he hates the Warframes only because of what they're doing right now, because I think, doesn't Kalervo come after the fact? Like, Duviri came first, and then... Wow, we're using... All right. My intrinsic-less drifter here. And you guys just stay over there. like good little Truman soldiers. That's it. You don't even want to do anything. Perfect.
Look, they died with my name on their lips.
He's a creepy little thing.
The most petty and trivial things
So-
would spark Loden's anger, but the flames quickly rose.
I think the reason why he doesn't want warframes is because of the very beginning, the opening scene, where the warframes are the thing that actually helps the drifter and start, like, kind of getting the ball rolling, if you will. Because, like I said, I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, that Kalervo came after the fact. Right? Let's do that one. Well, Maddox, it actually begs to ask the question if what occurred at that point in the new war is the catalyst for what we're seeing in Duviri. Like, we think about it, that, oh yeah, it must have happened then, but like, it doesn't necessarily mean. It doesn't even mean that the drift or the Teshin that we see in the new war has anything to do with the one that's in Duviri. I mean, we assume this much. Might as well get some resources here for the second character because it's gonna be a grind.
That's him. Frax's enforcer.
I'd say Stalker or Ballast.
For 2 pins, I'd come down there and smash his face in myself. But I can't. So you have to. Help yourself to his chest!
Well, JBN, if you're enjoying the stream, even if it's allowing you to sleep better, that's still enjoying the stream. So I can accept that. Oh, that hurt. Did you know? People who haven't been touched by the void can't see those soldiers, even in on the Zerman. I do not know what they are saying right there. I have to be honest with you. There's a bunch of things that I'm still trying to make out. Zerg, I've been in that situation before. Yeah, I know what that's like.
So everything
You just can't get
was
what you
met
want,
with
but you
anger,
get everything you
and
don't.
anger was his undoing.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Good night. Glad you got a chance to see the stream, though. That's important. That's it, comrade. The true Duviri are the friends we made along the way. Everybody knows that. I'm a big fan of the eyes that are always watching you in Duviri.
The Undercroft is an ulcer in the guts of Duviri.
So,
Something's happening down there. I can feel it.
Grimsouls, I'd take some more horror too. We might get that. Oh, but what I was saying before, yeah, those Thrax soldiers only people who have been touched by the void can even see them. I don't really know. All I can tell you is if you, there was something else that as I was doing my thing, I never really read the description on them before, but I find it very interesting that they
An amusing quarry.
nobody else can see them.
There they are.
I find that incredibly interesting. That like this void touch in ways is like a level of wisdom, like eldritch type wisdom. Yeah, Gemma. So there's like a chat that if you ever see me on, you can just go to my character. You know where like the chat goes in the bottom left hand corner,
and fan the flame.
You can find me and actually begin a chat with me. Yeah, and definitely, if I can play, I will definitely get on with you. But if you would, yeah, please send me a message first, because many times I'm in the middle of recording a quest or something like that, and you'd be surprised how many times I've actually had to redo an entire quest because there was like a thing that popped up during a scene that I wanted, and then you have to redo the whole quest over again to get it. I mean, at the same time, I'm not going to sit there and complain, because it's super cool that people actually give a shit enough to like just call me, if they see me online, they're like, hey, what's up? But but I have to admit, that has sucked on a time or two. I love the spider frame. Meliodas, I love it. I think I was kind of hoping for a different thing.
Was the rightful heir, but the boy was chosen. Why is this always happening to me? What is wrong with me? Am I not good enough for all of you?
Aston, yeah. But within game, you can see me on.
Feel it nearby. The paradox you seek.
Code, again, that's one of those things that isn't really, incredibly explained. So it's absolutely possible that there's more to it. Ability strength and power strike damage by 600%. That's nice. Let's go with this one instead. Well, I mean, cinematic or not, it's still relevant to the quest, right?
You play with fire, fool.
Yeah, that's what I always just assumed. I assumed that essentially the reason why he doesn't like them is because they were the first thing that he's seen that could take down an Oro worm. Because the Oro worm are essentially like his militant wing. Anytime that Thrax wants to enact any type of like significant damage, that's what he uses. He did it with multiple islands. In fact, there was like one island that was just like he just like had a tantrum and just sent the Oro worms to destroy it. And that was that. That was its story. Now again, I'm still going off of what I would consider speculation because I don't know for certain. There could be more to it. But how come the aura worms have human counterparts? Grim Souls, what do you mean? I don't know if I understand that question.
Good. Return to me when you are ready.
How come the orc worms have human? You mean like the fact that we can transfer? Oh, are you talking about like the each individual person that's associated with each spiral? Is that what you mean? My mainframe? That would be Revenant. And before anybody says, "Oh, Revenant's so good," no, I have been using Revenant, and people on this channel can verify this. I've been using Revenant as my main Warframe pretty much since he came out. Yeah, so each one of those people are actually creations by Illyria. Well, actually, this is interesting. They're actually creations by Entrati. He used to tell these tales as bedtime stories to Illyria. And then she took the stories and made them into a child's fairy tale, specifically teaching them about emotional control. So all the voices that you hear, right? You can look at this one of two ways. I contend that it's possible. This is another reason why I contend that it's possible that Duviri is a place that, while our drifter may have manifested it, that it may have also existed in some capacity, even as its own, like I said, like a program almost, for other Tenno prior to this. Again, I guess we'll see for certain. But again, that's the best I can do right now. What I will say is, each one of those people are they're supposed to be like teaching guides for the kids, kind of like Sesame Street. Anybody? There you go. Zerg knows. That's the one. That's the actual source right there. Caliban's pretty awesome too. I actually was using a little bit of Caliban here just recently, just for some fun. I move off of stuff periodically, but I always come back to Revenant. Well, I mean, it's like I said, if you've ever been to Duviri, have you seen the Vagabond? If you've seen the Vagabond, you know the void already exists in Duviri. The void entity in some way, shape, or form. Let me put this doll piece back on. Now we're going to start getting into some really interesting stuff. This is on the Zera.
I guess we're born with anger. An instinct like any other. Like squinting at the sun or flinching from a burn. But some of us, maybe we learn it.
Easy. I have you.
Don't!
Did anybody else see a very, very significant parallel with the War Within right there? Yes, the guy that laughs. I might have to go to the other female voice. I don't know. I'll have to try that. But remember in the War Within, when the man on the wall takes over the Tenno for a second and says, hey kiddo, what took you so long, right? And then Teshin grabs the operator for a second and like holds him.
You saw that ship in the sky? The Zeramin? Our child king must be one of those who was abandoned there. A Tenno.
You said the Tenno are trying to help me. This paradox stuff? Now you're saying Thrax is one of them? He doesn't seem too helpful.
The history I know. That Zeramin ship returned from the void, bringing with it the extraordinary power the Tenno command. But here is a different path, I suppose. A difference in parallel. A paradox in itself.
Matthew, bear in mind that red glow is not Rel. That is the man on the wall, and I'm going to give her. I'm going to give you a couple different instances of where that actually comes up. You have it here. Whenever you see that right there, you have with the entire Rel thing, but you also have, this is a very interesting one. Every time in Warframe 1999, when the Palm 2 interfaces in a way that supposedly with the man in the wall, it has a red screen on it. Very specific. There's only very specific times within Whispers in the Walls and within Warframe 1999 where the Palm 2 actually has a red screen. So the heir of the kingdom of Duviri. That was part of Luden's personality flaws.
The world above changes every day following what Thrax feels. Ready yourself for the next day and consider what you have learned.
I mean, again, does this not seem like training? Like in every way, shape, and form. You have this child who essentially, I thought that looked like a telephone for a second there. You have this child that essentially has been in this loop over and over and over and over and over and over and over, just sitting there. And then, amazingly enough, the origin system needs the Tenno back. And it just so happens that at that moment, the spiral changes, something comes in and alters the flow of everything. And then everything within the quest is essentially teaching the Drifter how to command warframes, deal with, essentially get information on the other side and what's going on there. And it looks like the War Within, only from a different variation. He feels sleepy.
Well, it seems that Thrax woke on the right side of his crib today.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait for Isleweaver. It's exactly what I want. I get to deal with Nisi Rizalka, who's I love. Man on the Wall, who I love. I get to find out more about Duviri, which I love. There's no downsides. You actually see red used a lot, and that's think about its significance within the confines of the Sixth Sense.
Sickening.
Okay, now this is interesting. Now remember this is Methilla's area, right? Methilla was Garmy's wife.
Find the fable hidden and play it out. That way, you may discover the next paradox, the next piece we need.
Actually, it looks like Thrax stayed a child. Now, that could be something to do with something significant, or it could just be the fact that within the Tales of Duviri, Thrax remains a child throughout. You know, they call him the Child King. So it could be, but this is important. Mithila, this is Mithila's spiral. Mithila was Garmy's wife. Garmy is the one who was tending the lighthouse, the Sarah Glass lighthouse that was supposedly keeping the man in the wall, or the way he called it at bay, right? And it was only after the Tenno broke the chains in the Chains of Harrow that the reign of chains happened here, right? Now, here's the interesting part. Mithila is her thing is joy, so she cannot speak to the idea of pain or anything, but within her dialogue here, she does allude to something very important. Keep your eye out. Keep your ears open, I guess is probably the better way.
I'm busy. Make it quick.
This challenge requires patience, persistence, oh, and just a little pinch of perspective.
I think some of you are going to really enjoy this next part.
Giddy up. Whoa.
Oh, there it is.
It'll be fine. You'll see.
Hello? That's exactly it, Rashad. Rajesh, that's probably how it gets done.
To the happy mind, all things seem simple. Problems could be solved simply by making them go away.
So, okay, did you hear that part? Just the problems just go away, right?
Should we? I think we should.
You better get it on now. That's it. She can't go against her.
Like my little life would ever get that exciting.
Here I
It's
am.
nice to see a friendly face. What brings you here?
I thought you were excited about seeing me. Yeah, whatever.
What a beautiful day. If you want to see the world...
All right. I love this next part. It's so good. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Makes you wonder, like, is that like in Oregon City? See how it's it looks like a bunch of buildings? I don't know. Yeah, this place is amazing. This is easily one of Warframe has a bunch of actually really cool places. This is definitely one of them. Oh, you know what? I think. Do I have to go?
Not everyone is strong enough to confront the darkness within.
There it was.
Are you going to keep putting it off? Or are you going to take action?
Does that sound like something that a person who's all joyful would say? Talking about the darkness within. Now, here's another thing. This is the first time that we experience the Liminus. And the Liminus are very reminiscent to another quest. What was that? Wow, dude, she is like intense with her battle cries. The Liminus, these things right here. Where did we first see these? Oh my God, calm down, babe. Wow. There you go. Do you find it interesting that Mithila, of all people, within her spiral, is the place that you would see the Liminus? Joy. I think there's something to that, sir. The chains of hair. Rap, tap, tap. I mean, again, some smoke there, you gotta admit. It's a really good question, Diego. First saw in Chains of Hera.
Why could other people not simply be as happy as Mithila was? Why do they have to be so difficult?
Shadows works for me.
Yeah.
Yep. Admit now, maybe I'm off on this, but Chad, let me ask you something. Let me ask you this. Have you heard anything in this quest today from this stream that was something interesting that you didn't pick up on the first time? Or has everything I've said so far been something that you already knew?
The Undercroft is a
That's how I do it,
messy,
Cripsouls.
chaotic place, and you will need to work so hard to keep it together in there. Oh, but I believe in you. You've got this.
Oh.
Whoa.
Okay, good, Raze. That's good.
Your presence is enough to hold the paradox at bay, but the environment itself will fight to choke you out.
The point of why I said that was I've played this quest.
Beware. Fallen enemies may drop
I don't
valuable
know.
life support.
7, 10, 12, 15 times. It's tough to say. And I'm still picking up things as I go through. And that, to me, is the sign of great content.
Time to end this.
Die with honor.
Yeah, yeah. It's a crazy thing, isn't it? To be literally like forced to joy, even though what's crazy is she experienced one of the most traumatic things that anybody in Duviri did.
Farewell.
Yep. Trauma clamps. Emotional restraint? Or emotional restraints, kind of?
Dance for me.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't find them as purple because they wouldn't associate purple with the people who would have created or been in this area would not have associated the color purple with trauma. Aston, no, I'm actually not. If you care to elaborate, I would be interested, but I can tell you that I'll be looking that term up after stream is over without question.
Life support drop imminent.
Well, Cope, be careful what you ask for. You just might get it. I want to see if we can bring
Life support will be
what do you call it? The proto frames in. They're the ones that really want to see Duviri. Figure if we're gonna be in here, I will show them around a little bit, right? The friendly thing to do after all. Yeah, Warframe's lore is the best. That's it. Yep. And but it's a product of the environment too, because a lot of times snapping in an emotional state is a product of being frustrated to the point where you haven't been able to kind of alleviate that type of anger through just the regular course of discussion. Anger issues can be a kind of a two-way street in some ways. All right. See, there's certain people that have anger issues that are just angry, but there's also people that have anger issues that a lot of it's just from repressing too much of the things that kind of happen to them, and then it comes out in a rage because you just kind of like what happens with that trauma clamp. It just explodes after just too much pressure. Applying for void plasm. Oh yeah, you get a lot of interesting stuff with the graves. And within those graves, you actually get ideas of the indifference being in there too.
I do. You all want happiness, but none of you wants to
That's
put in the work.
I'm gonna have to look that up a little
Do you
bit.
think there's beautiful light in my heart? Oh, just got there by itself. Do you?
That's pretty damn creepy right there. I'm gonna be completely honest. There you go. Okay. Whoa. Let's go investigate the paradox. It's interesting that that didn't really sound so joyful at the end, huh? That's what I was going to say. That doesn't sound much like joy to me. I don't know. And she even says, "Who do you think put this in my heart to begin with?" Meaning that she even knows that it's not real. Here's
You
Mathilla's
found
house.
it. Good. So tell me, did Mathilla's joy wear off on you?
I hope you're kidding.
You think I'm not paying attention? You think I don't know what you're up to? My ducks are searching. We will find your nasty little den soon enough.
Grim Souls. See how it's all starting to come together? I said I might just take you up on that. People really need to take lessons from Warframe. Well, yeah, I can tell you that a lot of people need the Tales of Duviri in their lives, because what they would come to find, I think, is their lives would be a lot more manageable if they refrained from giving into emotion as much. Emotion's great. It's without a question, it's the thing, it's simultaneously the thing that makes humanity as strong and as amazing as they can be, and at the same time as terrible and as horrific as it can be, as they can be. It's all in how you manage that, you know? All right, this is an interesting scene coming up.
Our whole lives, we run towards it. Something, someone, some wavering oasis of joy and contentment. Sad thing is, most happiness seems to come by accident. Maybe it's not about getting it, but letting it.
You're smiling.
I am not.
His memories are giving you something. As these emotions flow through you, you take from him his singular power over the world.
I don't want sharesies. I want out.
But look, the Dormizone. It's lit up now.
I mean, doesn't most of this stuff is so nonsensical when you take it at face value. I don't want sharesies. I just want out of here. But look, the Dormizone is lit up. Okay. Great for the Dormizone. So I don't know. It's possible, or they could just be friends. You can tell that there's like a family establishment going on. They obviously have the dad they're giving the father like an actual face, which would kind of make sense given that like the father was also kind of brought up in the War Within. You know, something's out there, kiddo, watching us.
Oh, shit. You hungry?
Go ahead, but save some for Terra.
It's the same thing that was said during the New War. You hungry? Still need to figure out the significance of that picture too. There's something there. Diego, it looks bad. I'm not gonna lie. It looks really bad, that food. Like it's like well, I mean, they're if you go into the thing, they're like little protein squares and carb squares and what was the other one? One's carbohydrates, one's protein. I don't know, the other ones are like vitamins and stuff. If they're packed for flavor, that's great. But it kind of reminds me of, if you've ever seen The Matrix, you know, the single-celled protein that has everything the body needs except for the fact that it doesn't have flavor. Yeah, fat, protein, carb. Yeah, okay, there you go. Fat, protein, and carbohydrates. That was the other one.
Now, do you believe it?
Let's go.
Okay. Envy.
Friend of yours, anyway. I made you. I kept you safe all this time. They're nothing I can't be.
Ignore him. Play out the day. Let him see that his control has weakened.
I'm probably killing those chips constantly. If that's the only snack that they have. I know, I'd be on it. Give me them chips, damn it. I don't want them protein squares. I don't want carbohydrate, whatever the hell that thing is. They taste like cube. Yeah, you gotta have something good in there, you know? You gotta feel bad for them. But, I mean, they were all on the ship. That's probably all they had. Even though they had, like, those luscious biomes, you would think they'd actually have some, like, real vegetables and maybe some meats and stuff.
Cunning devices like this feed Duviri with power, just so those witless peasants can piss it away. It's wasted on them. Recalibrate it in my favor.
Power. Well, let me get some of this right here. Yeah, that's it. We needed that. See? A bodybuilder would love them. I don't even. Well, yeah, probably. I mean, it would definitely fit the regimen. I don't. Being somebody who actually did that when I was a younger person for a time, I can tell you, they were never good times. Whenever all you could eat was like rice and chicken and little bits of it, and eating 6 times a day, like that was no fun. It was. It was the worst. Right? You think the biomes would have something of interest.
Oh, Bombastine was admired, even loved. But others were loved more. And that was poison to him.
Those sentries look down on me. There goes Bombastine, they say. Fire a shot over his head and watch him jump. Well, today, you're taking them down to my level.
How about ye?
Whoa. Dude, I gotta set up my controller settings on this character the same as my other one. It's one thing that really screws me up when I play this game. I need to like take a screenshot of what they are. Because my aim on this character is just it's the assest of ass. I think it's just because of those really slight differences.
Behind his acts of kindness and
Or it could just be that I'm shit.
generosity lay but one thought. How can this performance benefit me?
I want what a man of my talent and worth rightly deserves. And that includes the Undercroft that Thrax guards so jealously.
See, Thrax guards the Undercroft.
Off you pop.
That's my whole thing. Like, okay, so what is going on? Why did his voice change there? Zeraman salad. Gristle, that's funny.
History dictates that this Tenno asset was destroyed in a grave setback to the cause. Let us rewrite that event.
How did it get here then?
The winds blow fiercely. The rains do not relent. Still, the stout bough stands.
Somebody asked me in another stream who I thought was in the Golden Cradle. I don't really know. I don't know if it's just supposed to be like a representation of Tenno or of a Warframe, or it's got to be a Tenno, of a particular Tenno, maybe. Right? I think even more interesting when you talk about that is, well, I'm just going to tell you flat out, the only other character that does the two-finger salute, I mean, we might have went over this already, but the only other character in the entire game that does the two-finger salute, other than that vessel at the very end of
Enemies incoming.
the finale, is DJ Rom. And every once in a while, other members of the online boys, but it's mostly DJ Rom. And then you start getting into the concept of what DJ Rom is. ROM, ROM, I don't know, whatever it is. Within the confines of the band, and some of the earlier dialogue, especially that was within the ARG, and it gets really spicy.
My aim is true. What soldier starts,
Technically, it is. We're transferred into our operator, which is transferred into the
battle
warframe.
is already half won. Prepare yourself. A fresh wave approaches.
But, okay, so then why doesn't his voice glitch all the time then when he's in there? See, I thought it was meant to be a kind of a little clue. A subtle one at that. I could be wrong. I think we're going to find out a lot more when it comes to Isleweaver.
time to end this.
Agreed. Where are you? So, Cadus, they only come about in usually right before the release of like one of the bigger updates. Like we had one for like Angels of the Zeraman. We had one for 1999, Whispers in the Walls. Usually they'll start like said maybe 2
The
months
enemy
before
has
the
been
quest begins.
exhausted. If only for now.
And it'll be it's a really interesting thing. Like the Warframe will start pushing out these little Easter eggs that you almost have to find.
It's not fair.
And then
The
it gets
things
deeper and
I
deeper.
did were supposed to break her, not make her his favorite.
He hates Lucinia.
Was meant to be the one who was loved. Me. It's not fair.
It's almost like they all give in to their like emotional stuff at the end. Oh, dude, these all suck. I guess I'll go with that one. Boo. I don't know. I still think it's relevant because I think the corpus represent exactly what you're talking about there. And I think we are seeing the beginnings of everything that happened in the origin system. We're seeing like the beginnings of the corpus, and we're seeing the beginnings of what I contend to be the Orkin. I just wonder if what are we doing? Like, what changes are we doing to the system? Because that's the whole idea behind everything, is that we're actually making changes to the origin system in real time.
It wasn't me that started stirring up this mess with the executions. You got it in your head to get out. Don't you see now that these stories are for you, for us?
Yeah, that's exactly what ended up like. I'm trying to think, what was the initial clue that started this one? A lot of times it'll start from their Twitter account or whatever. They'll like put a little thing out. But this last one was, oh my God, it was so much fun. It was easily the best one that I think they've ever done. And it was just so in depth. Look, the other ARGs from Warframe are definitely cool and have all kinds of really interesting stuff that happens with them. And if you can, and you don't know about the stuff already, especially like the logs before the Zeraman and stuff like that, you should definitely go and check those out because they're fantastic. But this last ARG, I would say, if you didn't follow it, you are missing some incredibly significant pieces of significance that will completely change your opinion of what happened in 1999. If it doesn't, then you didn't understand the ARG.
Tara?
Where'd Tara go? Uh-oh.
Nothing's worse than anger, right? It burns your lungs. It ashes the trees. But you can see it, right? And after it passes, maybe something new sprouts up. But resentment is desolation. It salts the soil so that nothing ever grows again.
Didn't see it coming, did you? That I was just using you. You think there's some magic land outside of here? All there is war and suffering. Understand?
I think so.
It was.
Do you? Do you really? You keep calling this a prison, but you know what it really is. It's the only place in the entire universe that is actually safe.
Yeah, clearly.
You had it all. A whole world to yourself. But you were bored, ungrateful. You had to bite the hand that feeds.
Like Terra, huh?
Like what?
Once upon a time, there was a dying old man.
I don't think the rabbit has superpowers. This is an interesting little parable that he tells here.
As he lay on his bed, dying,
Grimsouls, I
he
think there's something
called
to what you just said.
each of his beloved children.
Look what we're fighting against, too. I don't know for certain, but I know that Rebecca said something to the effect of this Isleweaver thing, you're not going to be able to use your drifter. It's just going to be the Warframe. So I want to see what they mean by that.
When each did hear his rasping call, they answered with a hollow longing.
Teshin! Teshin!
Yeah. Zerg, and what was the same kind of significance that happened there?
Come on, come on! Plenty of room for everyone.
So they came to his bedside, one by one, and his firstborn knelt there. And the old man said, my child, why be your eyes so dry? And the firstborn said, so that I might be strong, father. And so the old man gave to them the deeds for all his lands.
See, that's kind of what I was saying, is that
To his second
a lot of
born,
these
he
things
said
have
again,
that same transference
my
thing
child,
going on.
my child, why be your eyes so dry? And his second child said, I shed no tears, father, for I chose now to remember only the joy you made of my life. And so unto him the old man gave his family home. And when his last child had entered, he said again, my child, you were my favorite of all. Why show you no feelings at all?
I do. I gotta get my Nightwave done. I love this next part. It's pretty sinister when you really think about it.
And the last child said to him, I feel nothing, for it was I who has killed you.
Pretty indifferent, don't you think? So, I don't know if it's necessarily meant to talk about who the old man is, but rather the lesson behind what is being said. Doesn't she look like she's like sniffing gold?
Where is he?
Don't you worry. Justice comes swiftly in my kingdom.
Wretched improviser.
How do you think? How is it possible? Do you think that Thrax was able to turn himself into Teshin? Really only seen one person able to do such a thing, you know? Well, I mean, the Corpus and I would say the Orcan are both. Well, not the Orcan. They're not capitalistic. The Corpus are capitalistic, but there's a level to it that goes above capitalism.
Banished by my decree.
I apologize for this thing with the rating on the what do you call it, on the chats today. I didn't do that. I will change it after this one.
I've never seen you like this. So ready to fight.
Just going through all the
Makes me
emotions.
so happy.
Make your peace.
But why are you doing this?
Halt!
Stop it. Where'd you come from? Because it was I who killed you. It's so great. You can really look at it in one of two ways, but there's like a little piece of dialogue in the very beginning of that parable that like
Never cared this much for me.
really kind of puts things in perspective. Is when they say that all the children had a hollow longing. It means like none of them were actually telling the truth. The YouTube Battle Pass. I wonder if they're giving exclusive skins out or something. So, Rajesh, that's the different. Thrax is having a bit of an emotional time right now, and because of that, all the spirals are moving. He's moving from all of his different emotions. I don't know, Meliodas. I think that ability is probably going to remain one that stays with one person in particular. How many V-Bucks does the YouTube pass cost? I don't know. Is there like a deal?
Go.
It's actually probably something YouTube should consider, though. That'd be really cool. Just for like engagement and stuff like that. If you could get little additional perks and little badges and shit, that'd actually be kind of cool. Like, I have to admit.
Wake up, Tenno.
Uh-oh. Hey, I heard that one before. They have a loudspeaker system here. It sure is a marvelous voice. Grand Theft Cave. Grand Theft Cave 6.
Teshin! Teshin!
To my battle!
Coat, I do think that we're going to see a new spiral. And my question is, we have, let me get this straight. So we have Ludon, which is anger.
I shall bring this rousing.
We have, is it Bombastines and Envy, right? And Thilla's joy. Wait. Who's sadness again? I can't. It's killing me. I'm trying to think. Each one is associated. Who's Scythel associated with? I think that's where we're headed. Lucinia. I think Scythel is Scythel's spiral is where we're headed for this one. But I could be wrong. Scythel's sorrow, fear. Yeah. I think that's where. I think that I don't know. We'll see. But that being said, it would be interesting to have a sixth spiral, right?
Of terror for me.
I will.
You're feeling now.
I am.
Good.
Tao could be next. See, I feel like that clearly wasn't Teshin right there, by the way. I just feel like there's some stuff to do before we go to Tao. But yeah, I mean, it's absolutely possible. I was originally thinking that we were going back to Duviri for TennoCon. And I thought that's where the association with the Zariman was coming into play. But now that we are going... What's that one? Now that we're going back to Duviri before TennoCon, it's certainly a possibility.
Stop this childish tantrum right now. Do you understand? He's dead and he's gone, and he's not coming back.
Unbound to dive? What does that mean? Ah,
I don't care
yes.
how angry you get.
The blue
You
one.
can't change anything. You can't even change yourself.
I mean, that's clearly not the case there, Thrax.
Jealous of my worms? You think stealing them will bring him back? Are you stupid? It's too late.
Come on. That's it. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Uh-oh. This could be a problem. Now I can't seem to dive. Oh, no. There we go. Well, Hugh, this whole thing is how the Drifter gets powers. So essentially, this quest is the connection.
This is
Mine!
Hugh, I think that's the thing. They didn't have it, but this quest is what connects them to the operator.
Mine!
Like we've actually been talking about it. Like it's almost like this is like it's the Drifter's training.
have it.
Maybe you shouldn't have given the Duviri back to Thrax, huh?
Is this real? Or some fevered dream? You
Acceptance.
did it. You took control.
I always had it. Thrax didn't make this place.
You did. But you reset it. You gave it all back to him. Why?
Listen to what he says here.
I guess it felt
Like a good
like
deal.
a good trade.
Like a good deal, don't you think?
So, what's next?
Those beyond the wall have helped you. You will need to repay that debt. But you've earned your freedom, a way through the paradox and out of the spiral. Be warned, you'll not be as you are now, but as you were then. Do you see it? The other side.
I see it.
What will you do?
Soul is better. Here's something else to consider, too, that I think is very interesting. We could, again, at the very end of there, the Drifter says, I always had it. Thrax didn't make this place. And Teshin says, you did. But we don't know that that was the assumption that the operator, that the Drifter was about to say. And it's very possible that this version of Teshin telling them, you did, influencing them to believe that, may actually be something in the future that they come back to and say, no, 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 you didn't create this place. Because technically, that's not something that's been like confirmed. That's only been something that this person said, and now the Drifter has taken that as the truth. But as we've seen many times in Warframe, that's not always the case. You hear something, but it turns out that that's not necessarily what was going on. Is that how you remember it? Good. Well, I'll tell you something, Zerg. When you pick Saul as the name instead of Terra, you see the burning sun that's just about to be destroyed with in the New War. Oh, Gemma, no, not a headache. That's not good. Well, thank you so much for joining again. And I hope you enjoyed the stream. We owe those beyond the wall much.
Sometimes you get stuck. Sometimes you go numb.
It does.
The color drains away. You stop trying, and that just feeds the spiral going down. Maybe you'll get lucky one day. You see yourself in the mirror and snap out of it. But for some of us, it takes more. A friend, a stranger, a story, a helping hand.
Zerg, there's 4 Murex around the sun when you see Soul. I don't know if that has anything to do with the memory that you're talking about. Gemma! Another gifted membership. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I do hope very much that your headache goes away. You know what I haven't yet seen is the female man on the wall show up, except for after the quest. I'm kind of excited for that. Gemma, thank you so much again. So, let me ask you all, now that the quest is over, Do you have any different thoughts on Duviri and what we might be heading into in the next couple weeks? Who knows? It could be this week. Probably won't be this week, but it could be this week. Oh, really? Awesome. That's perfect. Well, now we know. Now we know why the man on the wall is not here, because he's at your ship. Shotgun. What's up? Thanks, Drifter, for the life lesson. So, what I plan on doing now is taking all the little comments that we got from this stream, marrying them up with what I've learned about Duviri. And the next video is going to be kind of a primer into Duviri. I'm going to be doing my best this time to do as much as I can in the opening story of sticking to the actual facts that we can 100% or at least like 95% say are certain. And then we'll just dip into some little things, some little speculative
Buddhists find it
things.
odd that humans only get a few years to live.
Yeah, Rajesh, that's an almost 100%
Doing everything wrong.
Learning how
guaranteed that there will be way more questions than answers after this quest is over with. No. Code, I don't even know if it's going to be this week. I'm just saying it because that's what I want. It could be this week. If it is this week, I would guess it's probably going to release on Wednesday, because that seems to be what DE's been doing a good bit recently. But it might not be this week. Oh, yeah. Creative. Yeah, I've seen that. And that's for obvious reasons, because of the what's sitting on their right hand. Yeah, I was personally, I'm thinking it's going to be in the second week. I think that gives them time to put the quest out, address some bugs and stuff that invariably are going to happen, anything that they need to adjust, things of that nature. And it still gives them time to prep up for TennoCon. Is it Wednesday? Hey, you're not going to hear me complain. If it's this Wednesday, I'm super excited. That's all I can say. The sooner the better, because that'll give me more time to actually play it and work on it and work with it and figure out what was going on with it and blah, blah, blah. But that would be great. I hope it comes this week. I mean, that would be absolutely amazing. But, so what did you think of today's stream? Are you all excited for Isleweaver? Yeah, this next spider frame is going to be... apparently, there is a reason why it exists in Duviri. Hey, I think we absolutely will, but it's probably going to come when we make it out to... So there's this one aspect of the Archons that I think is a little bit different than what Era and the other Archons are, especially when you're talking about Pazul. They talk about Pazul being a demonic ram. And there's only one other entity that's associated as a demon in Warframe. I don't necessarily know if that's the connection that Warframe is attempting to make there, but I can tell you that the idea that the Lotus talks about angels and demons, the life itself, the fact that there's a demonic ram, the fact that we are called void demons. in this stream today, we talked about how the void is essentially everywhere the void is, the man in the wall can be. The void and the man in the wall are synonymous. I think a weapon made out of emotions would be super cool. I'm curious to know what that would look like. You know, what does that mean? That's another thing that could happen in this Duviri update. We could get some of the other islands. And I would stress to everybody here. Now, it'll be in my video, I promise you. It's already in the working portion of it. But if you haven't yet, make sure you get to Duviri and make sure you find those Duviri fragments, because you're going to need that backstory. There is a ton of information. It does look a little bit like a happy skeleton. There's way more information in the Duviri fragments about Duviri themselves and the other islands that we've lost that is essential to know before we go into Isleweaver. I promise you're going to need that data. Now, understand, it will be in my video, but I don't anticipate the video coming out until probably Tuesday or even Wednesday of this week, because it's pretty in depth. So if Isleweaver comes out on Wednesday and my video comes out on Wednesday, you're going to need to do that stuff on your own. You're going to need to do that homework on your own beforehand. I would take some murmur weapons. We're going to have to get murmur weapons at some point. A Lavos style bow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, definitely do that. For anybody, Duviri's a great place to hang out. If you love the lore, you're going to get all kinds of little story bits in there. There's all kinds of little creepy ass things that you can just find everywhere. The place, Duviri is dripping with story building, like in all of its architecture. Even the spirals itself most likely portend to the idea of spirals within the natural order of existence, because you have the Vitruvian Man that's already been referenced, and a lot of people use that as squaring the circle, also associated with the golden ratio, which is a naturally occurring thing that happens throughout nature, that happens in spirals. I've taken Murmur Arm Cannon. That actually sounds pretty damn cool. Yeah, then there's the tablets. You got to find it, all the tablets. You got to get the tablets. Those are huge. Oh, no worry about it. So, well, Rajesh, therein kind of lies my thinking about Duviri, that if the Drifter created Duviri, there seems to be an awful lot of things that happen outside of his control. Oh, yeah, Matthew, those kids are freaky as hell. Also, look for the Vagabond. He shows up in a bunch of different places. Somewhere else you need to go check out. What spiral are the graves in? I'm not talking about Entradi's effigy. When do you want to talk about the joy that caused pain? I like that, actually. I don't know. I'll have to. It's unfortunately it can't be today. I got to do the dinner thing and everything else yet today. I'll ask him. I'm gonna have to try to maybe during during the next stream or something I can, because I am going to be doing streams this week also for Expedition 33 and finish up Doom too. Where is Alberic's original body? That's a really good question. Is it in 1999? Is it still trapped in the wall? The crazy part is if you asked Albert, he wouldn't be able to tell you for certain. That's the question, isn't it, kiddo? Yeah, I'm telling you, there's all kinds of interesting stuff. Like I said, I'm not even talking about, people are talking about Alberic's effigy. It's the scholar's like grave, but he's not there. But there are other graves that talk about aspects of things that were found within the Duviri fragments and the other islands. I don't think the man on the wall is in here this time. Or they are, they're just not, they're not coming out. And then there's the chains, the reign of chains. Well, who knows, Zerk? Maybe that's the spiral that's going to be corrupted. Bear in mind, I think this is interesting. I don't know if there's going to be any association with it, but you get this association with the man on the wall. Rap, tap, tap, rap, tap, tap, right? 6. There are 5 spirals. If we get a 6th one, I think that's very interesting. The vagabond is essentially the man on the wall, or an aspect of it. It is, the vagabond is missing a finger, a right index finger, no less. So, it's very possible shotgun. That's the thing. There's so many different things that allude to different aspects. Like, that's clearly in Trotty's face. Okay? But Entrati has this inner dialogue that keeps going on about him believing that, or at least questioning all the time if it was him or if the other got out instead. And then there's the dialogue that Eleanor talks about void clones being made and them not realizing that they are void clones and that they live their lives essentially trying to be the thing that they think themselves to be. You know, and then we have Euleria talking about Entrati, like seeing her father when they went into the untimed door. Euleria and her husband go in and they see her father trapped in the door, which is crazy because that's like the only time that anybody's ever went into the door and seen something but themselves, as far as we know. So, well, okay. Critical, it was, but then Lloyd was able to nurse him back to health. They have like these things called the baths of Nepenthe that apparently like are like kind of like a back to chamber, or which Nepenthe is actually an interesting thing in its own right. It's pretty crazy if you look that up. Oh, we'll do that tomorrow there, hey. That's what I want to, that's actually when I want to do my stream for Expedition 33 is tomorrow. Probably be in more so, at least by Eastern Standard Time, more so in the evening. So I'll be able to do portion of the work I got to get done and my video stuff tomorrow in the day, and then I can stream tomorrow in the evening. And then Tuesday night, I want to do finish up Doom. And it'll probably be, like I said, in the evening again. So it'll be. Vagabond just laughs. Every time you come and see him, all he does is laugh at you. Yeah. Lore's tough to find in Warframe. You gotta want it. Does that sound familiar? You have to want it. Yeah, Grimsouls, there's definitely some kind of thing that the man in the wall is trying to tell you about Entradi's body. I'll be curious to see what that means. What I'm hoping to see is who actually deposited the Duviri tablets. Because I think there is a possibility that it's Rel or Garmy. Because that was the person who essentially had most of the ideas, understanding of the void and stuff like that, and the man on the wall, but at the same time could actually kind of have a encounter where he's taken over, if you will, and could explain why some of the tablets are like half in English and half in words that we can understand and half in void tongue. Wonder where you heard that, huh? He said the good thing I believe is with Isleweaver directly addressing Rusalka, meaning it's also going to be directly addressing the indifference in Duviri. I think we're going to get a lot of answers that we didn't have before. It's true. We might get a bunch more questions too. In fact, that's almost a guarantee that we're going to have a bunch more questions afterwards. But I do think, and it might not come even within the quest. It might come within the little things, because I know I did see there's going to be a bunch of different lore collectibles and stuff in this update. So they're probably going to do a similar thing like what they did with the KAM. And a lot of the reveals are going to come kind of within the background of the things that you find. So again, if you want to figure out about the lore, you literally do have to go out and get it yourself. You have to want it. Red, I like that. But, Raze, that's the way I do it now. That's what I have the whiteboard for. The whiteboard is here. And every time I have a little bit of a question that happens during the quest, that's where I put it up. So that's how I do it. I'm hoping. I would like to see Rusalka come out of this as a good person. Like, not a good person, but Meliodas. No. I'm not actually associated with Warframe in any way. I just like doing videos for them. That's all. Not to say that if they asked me to, I wouldn't. I'd be very interested in that. But no, as it is right now, I don't have anything. You don't even know the string board. You probably couldn't walk around in my room because it would just be going everywhere. But with that being said, hold on. Cork the Mighty. Is there a particular question you're most hoping gets answered in Isleweavers, or maybe gets more detailed? Yeah. Oh, man, there's a couple of them, if I'm being completely honest with you. I want to know the main question. I guess I want to know what's going on with Duviri for real, because the way that it's set up is this land that was created by one person, and it's just kind of sitting out there as a almost like a bubble of its own creation, and it's essentially protecting the Drifter, or at least that's even what Thrax tries to convey. But yet, what I find funny about Duviri is everybody else, I shouldn't say everybody, but It seems to be like other people can somehow make their way into the Drifter's creation that by all rights, I don't even understand how people know it's there. And I guess what I'm saying is so there's the situation with Kalervo, that Kalervo has an outbreak or an outburst to the point that he finds himself within Duviri. And I'm left with the question of, is it just that like now that Duviri's created, like anything can just have an emotional like outbreak or outburst, and they can then somehow just find their way into Duviri, and including Albrecht and Trotty, who somehow found his way into Duviri. I don't understand how these people even know Duviri existed. The spiral in Florida right now is hot, and it's going to get hotter. So I'm just hoping that within the context of Isleweaver, that now that you have Rusalka, who's actually within Duviri itself, who we know is at least influenced by the Man on the Wall, or actually is the Man on the Wall, and Rusalka is somewhere else. You know, that's something else we haven't quite figured out yet. But if with that person being in there, I would like it to explain to us what's going on, because clearly, given that tiny little bit of dialogue that we got from Isleweaver, where Rusalka says, you know, you thought that you could hide, or that I couldn't see you here and stuff like that, means that like the entire time that the Drifter was in Duviri, the Indifferents always knew it. Yeah, right? So that's my, I want to know what's going down in Duviri. What makes this place kind of like the Sakaar of Warframe? If you understand my reference from the MCU, where like all this like stuff, this crap from all these different places just kind of dumps itself onto Sakaar, right? And I have to ask, is Duviri a similar thing, that like anybody that emotionally trauma dumps in the presence of the void ends up depositing something within Duviri? I don't know. I just want to see. I really would like some kind of something more concrete, because there's all these weird things. Like, why is there Duviri tablets that seem to align with the idea of the Orkin rule? That's the one thing that I've never understood about those. Like, there's these tablets that seem to be giving data to the Drifter, or to whoever comes across them about, there's the Man on the Wall speaks in them, but then there's also like information about the solar rails going to Tau, and with the sentience potentially, or at least some envoy of the Orkin that's still working towards this. And then it talks about the legems of the Orkin, and by what right do the Orkin rule, and you're not allowed to question that. And I don't get how those things would be like, who's bringing them? Who's the one saying these things, or putting this stuff out? And why is it such a weird like training? Like, why would the Man on the Wall give a shit about the Orkin in their rule structure, in their hierarchy? Well, you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. It could be that he just needs those people to be there for the sake of the story. That is true. I hope it's not that. I hope that there's an actual reason why those people showed up there. Like, we were even talking about during the course of the stream, that like the Duviri paradox seems very much like it's like a training for the one Tenno that didn't get training. You know, like the one operator that needs to operate the Warframe. Oh, well, the Duviri paradox is essentially, hey man, let me pull you out of this spiral real quick and show you how to do all the stuff. Here's the Warframe, here's how you use it, you know. Oh, Korg the Mighty is, I know. Good one too. It's nice they joined the chat. I'd give anything for Questor in the Golden Age for the Orc. I've said the same thing, Grimsouls. I really, 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 really want. And I feel like you could probably do it within the confines of Nightwave. You know how, like, because that was like the whole thing with like the Nightwave stories.
For one luck, and we're out.
That's really loud. The Nightwave stories were talking a lot about that, like kind of like little things that happened. You know, with the Glassmaker and Arla's thing, and it would be very cool to me if Nora had like some kind of connection to somebody that could tell the story of this, and then like maybe not even be back within the old Orc time, right? But like it would be cool to even be like, if you go to Lua, you can't really get the feel of it while being in the halls of Lua. But every once in a while, if you look out in the corner, you can see like the cities, the city structures and stuff like that. And I would really like it so if like I said, we don't have to go back to the Orcan time, but to be in those like Orcan cities themselves and have somebody explaining to us like, oh, well, this is what the Orcan used to do here, and this is what the Orcan did here, and blah, 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 blah. Oh, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Korg the Mighty, thank you. Yeah, I miss the Nightwave stories too. I really like them. I thought that was a really great addition to Nightwave that offered us the ability to like kind of, you know, do the battle pass thing, but at the same time, just like with everything else in Warframe, you get the deeper you go, the more stories you get. Like, you know, same thing with leveling up any of the syndicates, or you know, finding the little fragments in Duviri, or finding the reliefs for the Granum reliefs and stuff like that, you know? I personally just think it was a really great vehicle for being able to tell side stories that weren't necessarily like imperative to tell within the Warframe narrative itself. But then it was like, oh, hey, I'm Nora, and I got some other stuff to tell you. Oh, did you know this? Oh, but did you know this? And did you know this? And it's like, oh, really? I know I didn't know any of that. That's pretty cool. You know, and it kind of, it got you off the main narrative, but it still, to the same point, kept you learning more about the history and the universe of Warframe, you know? Well, Korg, I would say that's one of the reasons why there aren't many of us Warframe lore tubers out there, because if you're a new person coming in, it is really hard to start doing lore for Warframe, because not only is there 10 plus years of content that you have to go through, but then there's all these little things, these little, oh, there was an operation here where this person did this, and then also there was a dev stream where this person said this and this and this, and it's like the people in the Warframe community that love the lore, they know this stuff. So if you're gonna do the lore, you gotta know this stuff too. That's what I found out. It's like, because they'll hit you with it all the time. There are all kinds of little things I get all, you know, I didn't know that. So, to me, I just think that's, if you are a Warframe lore tuber, like, take pride in that, because it is not. I would actually say it's one of the most challenging games to do lore for. Again, not only just because of the sheer depth of the story, but then every one of the stories, it's up to interpretation. But there you go, Corey. That's a perfect example. That's a perfect example right there. I mean, if you don't go back to the wikis, you're not going to know it. And there's some stuff that's just lost forever. That's only within tribal knowledge of people who were actually there at the time. And if you were fortunate enough to actually be there at the time to know that or to hear it, you have an advantage. It's like a huge advantage. Duet Night Abyss. 2 things when you end stream, do you know? No. I'm under, maybe I don't know the context. Coat? I don't know. Here's what I will say. I think Warframe has the best lore in the genre right now and has some of the best overall story. It's a Warframe gotcha game. No, I've never heard of that, but I'll have to look it up. I don't know if I'm going to download it, but I'll look it up. Absolutely. Oh my God, yeah. They do. They absolutely put some of the most groundbreaking and important details of stories in the tiniest little corners of Warframe. That is 100% true. 100% true. And again, it's one of those weird things that, like, if you do like a new quest, you better make sure that you've hit every corner of the new quest. Rank the whole syndicate up the whole way. Make sure you go through multiple quests and get all the little dialogue pieces that they say, while you're just doing a regular mission or something like that, because there's going to be these little tidbits, these little bits and pieces that have such relevance whenever you look at it from the greater picture. That's definitely something I got to check out. Well, Carissa, that's what we think, that there's no definitive lore on it. But I would wager that if you asked one of the people within DE what the reason was, that they would be able to give you a legitimate answer. I believe that 100%. They may not have put it in the game yet, but it's one of the things that I've said before is, like, what makes Warframe so special in today's gaming world. Warframe is so unique in the fact that the people who originally made the story years and years ago are largely the same people who are still making the story today. So you can guess that there's probably all kinds of internal data that DE knows definitively, that's part of their storyboards, it's everything else, but it's never had a reason to be, like, inundated or injected into a particular piece of the story. So they don't need to tell it yet. When it becomes relevant, they'll be ready with it, and they'll just blam. Yep. Corey, well, Corey, I'll do you one better. After playing through the New War and the Chains of Harrow and all that stuff and reading that stuff, I'm under the impression, especially given the ending of the sacrifice and all this misdirection that the Man on the Wall seems to love, I even wonder if the deal wasn't made by one operator and all the other people were essentially saved. Like that our operators were all shown the memory of the original operator. instead of all of us going through the exact same scenario. Like, there's just things about that last thing that scene with the man in the wall that don't sit right with me. The first one being that every other Tenno in the ship is completely freaked out, but our operator seems completely at ease and doesn't have a problem with anything and is confident and we talked about it. I don't want to say that this is certain, but I just feel like there's a possibility that Rel was the original operator who made the deal. And I say this because there's like this dialogue within the Chains of Harrow that mimics what the man on the wall told us during the New War. And I can't get it out of my head. I don't know that it's true, but it's just play the New War and play Chains of Harrow right after. And there'll be these similarities that are just, man, they're so hard to just dismiss. See, Mark, I disagree with that. And let me explain to you why I disagree. A couple reasons. One, Entradi is constantly telling the Drifter that you have to choose against love the entire quest. Now, I've went over this a bunch of times, but there is something else that I never mentioned before that only recently that I kind of took into consideration. Why would Entradi tell the Indifference that he knew what the plan was? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, why would Entradi give up that piece of information to the Indifference right then? Oh, I see what you're using. I see what the secret weapon in your plan is. It's love. So, like, now the Indifference would be like, oh, damn it, you figured it out. What am I going to do now? Like, if Entradi finds the Drifter, then they're going to know. I don't think that's what's being said there. That's my personal opinion. I think he's saying that love is the poison that the man on the wall is going to use. Oh my God, Korg, I want to see Garmy come back, and I want Garmy to come back in this next thing, and I want Garmy to talk, to kind of teach us or something, and I want them to come, or I want Mathila to do all this stuff and say and confirm that Garmy and Rel have some kind of connection. Heck, it would be even cooler if she actually went in and explained more about what happened during the Reign of Chains. Like, what I need more than just literally the 4 lines of dialogue that you've given me, right? I just think you just got to look at it from the way that Entradi looks at the things. We are not special to him. We are a tool, just like the Kavia was a tool, just like Lloyd's a tool, just like everything else in Entradi's existence is a tool to get what he needs to get done. That is his persona. That is the thing that he always does. So him potentially even taking the operator as a full-on sacrifice, knowing full well, but not letting us know this up front, absolutely on the table. Because that's just who he is. Oh my God, Cork! If that happens, then you'll see a reaction on stream like nothing else. Because I'll just be so happy. Like, you don't even know. I'll be excited, so excited. I want to see Garby. I want to see him. That's Zerg. That's it. Entrati is just trying to fix what occurred, and it does not matter what happens. He will burn down everything if it means stopping what he feels that he's brought onto the system. Danny, that's actually a really good point. And you can, and I would actually say in that same breath, when you talk about her spiral within Duviri, how she's like letting these little clues out during it about confronting your darkness and stuff like that, which again isn't very joyful in the thought process, but it is kind of a little, hey, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. By the way, put the dust under the carpet. Put the wall of bone under the carpet. Don't even worry about it. Oh man, it's gonna get good. We're gonna. I'm super excited. I feel like everybody else in the chat is super excited. And if it comes this week, that's even better. Like that's a gift. That is a gift from DE, and I will take that gift. I will unwrap it, and I will play with it. Danny, I agree. It does feel very, very forced. It's very strange, considering what she is and everything. That's true. You know what? I really don't. I'll be honest with you. I was even going to ask everybody if should I buy Elden Ring Night Rain. Like I didn't even buy it. I know everybody else seems to have it already. Is it any good? I only buy games that someone tells me about or something like that, and they're just wonderful. And I hope you do rewatch all my videos before the quest. That would be great. Oh yeah. I'm trying to think. We talk about Joy Spiral because I don't know if Joy has eyes or not. I think Joy has that city in the sky or that whatever that thing is. It's really cool. It's bad. It's hard. See, that's what I was going to try to get feedback before I even consider buying it because I love Elden Ring and I absolutely just adored that game. But I also love Elden Ring for the story, and I love like the lore behind it. And I was unsure if the lore with this world coincides with the lore with Elden Ring. I don't know how that works. Well, like I said, I feel like at some point I'm definitely gonna end up picking it up. But like I said, that's my perfect example. I'm waiting for other people to tell me what's up first, and then we'll go from there. But all right, everybody. Well, as much as I have enjoyed speaking with all of you, I must get to the dinner. Yeah, how much XP did everybody get? Is there a skin? Did anybody get a cool skin? I will turn that off, guys. I apologize. I didn't. If I turned that on somehow, I don't remember doing anything like that. I don't remember changing anything. So, I can't remember. Did we hit? No, I think we're still in Act 2. Tomorrow, we're going to be doing Expedition 33. Let me see here. Elden Ring also has finger-based lore. Okay. It's true. The man on the wall finds their way into every game. Korg, you want to know where I saw the man on the wall? That I didn't ever expect it? In the game Nine Souls. If you've ever played Nine Souls, and I absolutely recommend Nine Souls. Absolute fantastic game. But you'll see the man on the wall there too. I will turn it off though. Well, make sure you finish that stream before tomorrow, because tomorrow we're going to do it, and we're going to see essentially what goes.
You wait till they can't trust you any more than they do. And then you ask
Tomorrow will be the day, I promise.
their dinner. And looking into their
Thank you. Thank you, Cork. Appreciate you stopping by. Very, very cool.
you tell them your name.
No more ranked YouTube. Hey, look, if you guys want the Battle Pass thing, it's all good, but I just don't want anybody to feel like they have to sit there and like have to be typing out. Oh, let me get one out. What? I'm not number one anymore? Oh, okay, here's another one. All right, everybody. Well, thank you very much for joining me for this stream today. I very much appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. I will see you very soon, tomorrow, and look forward to that Isleweaver coming. So with that being said, hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, wonderful rest of your week. I'll talk at you on the next one. Take care.